Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exit interview. I am joined by one of my co-hosts, Ian Moorhead. He is in the building today. What's up?
Yo, what's up, everyone? Happy to be
And
here talking to Garso.
and as always, Lily's here asking the questions.
Hello, hello.
And yes, we are joined with the final Trinity Falls member to be voted out of the game, Austin Garsow.
Yeah, I am, pretty proud of the overall placement, and hopefully, between myself and the rest of the Trinity Falls people, hopefully we did the rest of the season proud. So
I mean, hey, you got one spot further and voted
yes,
out.
yes,
And voted out this time. So, hey.
yeah,
Yeah, well, to just start it off, right, the big game change in your game was being the first person voted, which then swapped you to the other tribe. And we got a little confessional from you when that happened, but do you think that looking at your game full picture, that swap really helped your game and helped you get further than, let's say, if Lydia had been voted out first?
yeah, I think it did. Like absolutely. Just looking at the dynamics from the original Ignis tribe, like even if I survived that tribal, and let's say like you said, Lydia had gone, I think I'm probably short thereafter.
Yeah.
Probably actual first out like Lydia was, if we're being honest.
You might have just swapped placements and spots at that
Yeah, probably.
point.
That seems like the most like logical assumption to come to just based off of how how everything was going. And
Mhm.
taking into consideration like if Ignis still loses that first
Mhm.
community challenge after. So
Yeah, that's true. And just thinking about how you attacked the game, right? You came in, you had a plan, and then it kind of gets twisted around when you get voted out. Does it completely change how you're going at this game? Or are you, it's a new tribe, I need to figure out the dynamics first?
yeah, I mean I think it obviously had a huge impact on how I was approaching the game. Like being voted out first or voted out from the tribe first, like it's kind of a little bit of a rude awakening and like a humbling experience to say the least. So I'm sitting here like trying to evaluate my game and what I've done so far and figure out where did I go wrong, if anything, and try to think about like what was the reason that I was voted out in the first place. Um, so trying to take all that stuff into consideration and then try to adapt my game, but then also trying not to dwell on it too much and just look towards the future because I am in a brand new tribe. Luckily, I was only a day behind, but people still have already had a little bit of time to form relationships. So I'm just trying to make sure that I'm looking forward and doing the best that I can do to form relationships with these people. Being that it's a brand new tribe, it's a whole new game for me. So just trying to make the best of my second chance going in.
Mm-hmm. And we see both Austins, right, that were voted out first make it to merge. And
Mm-hmm.
this is the first time really you have the opportunity to work with the other Austin. Was there any conversation maybe before the mini day of like, hey, like we have this weird connection, or is it just too late in the game to work with him?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily too late, but there wasn't a whole lot of conversation between the Austins. It was kind of just more of a formality, if you will. Like I reached out to him, just was like, congrats on making the merge. Um, and there wasn't a whole lot of game talk going into the mini day, and we never like were on a one-on-one call or anything like that going into the mini day. I think, and then especially watching the episodes back, I think it was pretty apparent that we were just kind of on opposite pages.
Mhm.
And I just don't know, other than making the pitch the round I went out, I just don't know that there was ever a time that we were going to be able to work together. Just like I said, especially looking back at who we were all aligned with and stuff like that. So.
Mm-hmm. And we don't get to see a lot of, I guess, your relationships on your original tribe. I mean, we see with the Corey boot, you're talking with Ashley and Lex, and then on your swap tribe, you're close with Lex and Kylie. I don't know if there's any relationship that you felt was really strong going into the merge that you were either going in with or you were hoping to reconnect with at that time.
It's hard, like especially for the original Ignis, because I was only there for a day, so I didn't have a ton of strong relationships. And then I feel like the one that I was closest with was probably Karen, because she, was on the same side of the vote as me that first round. But then we ended up on the swap tribe together, so we weren't necessarily separated. I wasn't sure like how I was going to handle the Andrew relationship, considering that, he ended up being the one that said he was going to vote for me and then didn't. And then I felt pretty good about Ashley specifically, like after being on original Fumo and then her going to one of the other tribes at the swap. I think that relationship kind of started just between Lex and I, and then we kind of connected via Lex, I guess. I was literally just like working my butt off to do like get one-on-one relationships with pretty much everybody once I swapped. Like I hardly spent any time talking to Sarah or Lex when I first swapped over there. I obviously reached out, and they were obviously my way in. So we did have some conversations, and they were kind of helping me out with like what the overall tribe dynamics were, and kind of were leading me like who I should reach out to, based on who that they've felt good about so far. But as far as like just kind of one-on-one relationships, like I spent so much of my time just getting with everybody else. But yeah, out of the people that I was separated with after the swap, I would say probably Ashley was the one. And we obviously both wanted to get rid of Lex at some point. So I think that was probably a relationship that a lot of people didn't know was there necessarily. Not saying that we were like super tight or had like a final two deal by any means, but I think that was definitely a relationship that most people didn't know was quite there.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I mean, and what we see a lot pre-merge, especially with Ashley, is everyone loves Ashley. Like she's got something, you know what I mean? So what was it that Ashley had, that drew you in with her? Like you said, she was probably your who you were working with closest, however that grammar works. What about Ashley really drew you to her?
I think she's just very like open. She was one of the people that was the most welcoming, I think, when I first came over. And then even looking back at the absolute terrible challenge performance, she was probably the one of the people that was comforting me the most. But yeah, I mean, that whole tribe was very welcoming. But yeah, something about she just has like this aura to her that's just very welcoming and like makes you put your guard down.
Yeah. I mean, that was part of her strategy when we talked to her about her strategy. It's like create those one-on-one bonds. So it makes sense that everyone felt close to Ashley.
And another relationship you mentioned that I wanted to see poke your thoughts about was Karen. So we see on your swap tribe, Karen is like, my mission is to get this guy to work with me, to like me. Did you realize that she had placed such an emphasis on your relationship and the way that she was really working with you? How did that move forward after that Brittley vote?
Yeah, no, that when I watched that confessional, I was like laughing out loud. That was funny. I wouldn't say like in the moment that I necessarily realized that she was specifically trying hard for me. My perception at the time was, because going into that swap and the dynamics of our tribe, after like having conversations between Lex and Kylie, and then we all had one-on-one conversations with Brittley and Karen, and then we're obviously, fact checking, seeing if they're telling us the same things. It seemed pretty apparent that they weren't going to be working together and trying to like pull one of us in to make a move. So it was kind of in a situation where it was going to be one or the other. So to me, it just felt like she was trying to connect with everybody one-on-one to make sure that it wasn't going to be her. I didn't, like I said, in the moment, I didn't realize that she was specifically targeting me, because I didn't know about Kylie and Karen's outside of the game relationship. So I didn't realize that Karen was already in good with Kylie, and that, I was kind of the deciding factor, basically, that if Karen could get in good with me, then I could have influence over Lex to help sway the decision towards keeping Karen versus keeping Brittley.
Had Kylie come to you, we talked about this in our exit, but had Kylie come to you and been like, this is a great time to get out Lex, we need to get Lex out before the merge, would you have been down for that, or was that still too soon to get the beast?
I think it was still too soon, to be honest, because I didn't even want to get rid of him first round of the merge. I wanted to at least go a couple more rounds, probably shooting for like 7 or 8, maybe. I knew I couldn't go to the end with Lex. And even just like fast forwarding to that vote a little bit too, I probably would have been, somewhat emotional regardless of the timing. But literally like a day or two before, we had just like a really deep, like personal conversation one night, right around the swap, or maybe it was like right after we merged. I don't remember, but and then just the timing of it all, and I didn't want to get rid of either Lex or Kylie, so the whole situation just like brought forward all those emotions and made it so hard to write his name down. But I knew I had to do it at some point. I knew I probably wasn't going to be able to go to the end with Lex, just because he's such a social player. Very well connected, and yeah, I didn't want to go to the end with him in Trinity Falls either, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to do that this time.
So why did you ultimately vote Lex here and not Kylie, seeing as these are both two people that you're close to, both were like big options on the table here? So what ultimately drew you to Lex? Because we see Zucker vote Kylie, so there was some split.
Yeah. I was actually, speaking of that, I was kind of surprised that Zucker voted Kylie in that situation. And because I thought it was going to be unanimous. So that's a big reason why I voted Lex, because I just didn't really want to be on the wrong side of the numbers, and didn't want to come across as if I just wasn't gonna vote that way. I didn't want to seem closed off. I wanted to make it look like I was open to options, despite kind of, getting put out there as if I was never gonna write his name down, and I didn't want to make that assumption true, basically. I was so nervous after that round too, when there was one other Kylie vote, because I thought for sure she was going to think it was me.
We saw that. You were like, Kylie, wasn't me.
I promise you, it wasn't me. And, like, I had it in my head that someone did it on purpose and was going to try to pin it on me. And I was like, this sucks. But yeah, and overall, I just saw myself going farther with Kylie in the game. Like, we didn't necessarily say final two, but pre-merge anyway. But we had made, comments to each other about like wanting to go really far in the game together. So I saw myself just more long-term with Kylie than Lex. So that's what ended up. And the fact that Lex was likely going to get the majority of the votes, if not it be unanimous, I'm like, okay, this is just seems like the most obvious route to go.
And what were your thoughts when you start to see like all these people that you want to work with, you know, to a certain point, as you said, Lex, Kylie, Ashley, you start to see them get voted out. How are you switching your strategy, trying to adapt? Because you are, you know, one of the last ones to make it. So how does that happen instead of you going, like you said, right after Lex or right after Kylie? Or right after Ashley, sorry.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know that it was necessarily anything that I did that prevented it from me necessarily being next. I think I was just at that point, as far as social relationships go and strategy, I was flying a little more under the radar compared to like Shea, Ashley, and Kylie were. Um, I obviously had the whole challenge threat target on me, but as far as like why they went before I did, I think it's just because of overall like social ability, and they were just seen as bigger social and strategic threats than I was. Um, I felt like I was a pretty big voice in the Shea vote, so that was something I guess that I did to, not necessarily make sure it wasn't me, but to try to drive that vote anyway. Um, and then I obviously didn't want Ashley or Kylie to go.
Mhm.
I don't know. Overall, I feel like my game, I wouldn't describe my post merge game as necessarily adaptable. It's because I stuck to my guns in the sense that when I didn't want someone to go, I didn't want to write their name down. Obviously, the first round of the merge, I was stuck in between rock and a hard place, and I didn't want to vote either of them out, but I had to choose one of them. But as far as like, yeah, the Ashley vote, I didn't want her to go that round. I didn't want Kylie to go when she did. There's like all this talk about, the three, and I stuck firmly to that. And I was like, what guys, what are we doing? Why are we not taking these three out? Like, I couldn't wrap my head around it and why it went so downhill. Yeah.
Well, that leads into my next question. We hear you say it. We hear a couple other people say it throughout this mini portion, like that swapped three Fumo, like they're slipping through the cracks. Why do you think everyone's like, oh, we'll wait till the next vote. We need to get this person out. Why does this keep happening?
I honestly, I don't know.
I think it has to do
Like
with the Exile Alliance. The Exile
Yeah.
boys are now with Austin and Mike, and your only like pull, I guess, is to get Andrew and Zucker to try and vote Maddie, because Simmons and Austin aren't going to vote Maddie because that's like the real three. So it's like Andrew and Zucker are protecting Simmons and Austin, but then it's just so convoluted that I feel like anytime you try and talk to someone, it's like, no, we're not voting them.
Well, yeah, and I got like going into the merge, there was this whole group Zoom call of 8 of us, and minus those 3. And the whole plan was to get, at least one of them out. That was the plan. And I wish we would have stuck to it, but shit hit the fan and it's all history from there. But yeah, that was my ideal plan. Like, I know it was like a group decision, but that's what I wanted to happen. I'm like, we need to break these 3 up because someone's just gonna bring them in for numbers and we're gonna fall apart. It's kind of similar to the whole situation that happened earlier on with the Corey vote too. I mean, that's a good move to make, is bring people in that are in the minority because they, quote unquote, don't have any other option and will basically just do whatever they have to do to be safe. And I saw that and I'm like, we can't let someone just bring them in. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And it all just went downhill from there. So.
And we eventually see, on your episode, your name came up and we see you fight. I mean, you put in a good fight, good reason for why these people should not be sticking together, why you should be taken to the end. Watching back, is there anything else, like it after Kylie goes, is there anything else you could have done to maybe sway it in your way?
Yeah, I thought about this a lot, especially, in the moment, like after the fact, after right after leaving. And I started to think about like, well, could I have maybe tried to put the vote on Karen or maybe even Andrew? Because at the time I didn't realize how close Andrew was with the remaining exiled people. And obviously Karen's name was sort of out there that round watching it back. But then like now watching back the episodes, I feel like a lot more at peace about that. I felt like I did everything that I could and it wasn't up to me, and it was basically just came down to what everybody else wanted to do, and my fate was in everybody else's hands. I felt like I made the pitches that I needed to, that were gonna work if there was gonna be a pitch that would work. Especially looking back at, I think it was Ashley's round. I had no idea my name was even out there that early at that point as a challenge threat, and that was
You had only won the
that was
first
either
community challenge at
yeah,
that point.
I hadn't even won the second yet. And so seeing that and then watching the conversations from the round that I went out, you even hear Simmons say like, we could go for Karen, but Austin's doing better in the challenges. So it puts me at peace because I feel like I did what I thought I had to do and it didn't work, and I'm content with the fact that I felt like
Did your second immunity win feel like a clutch immunity win? Like, did you know that like
in the moment,
that
no.
saved you?
No, I had no idea it was going to be me that round either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, we've talked about it a lot, but you have done great in these challenges and All Stars. Aside from the popsicle, we're not going to talk about that, right? But you won 2 individual immunities. You found the
Legacy.
Legacy. Yes, thank you. You found the legacy. Were you surprised that all of this stuff happened, or were you like, I knew this would happen? Like, it's about my time to get all of this stuff checked off my virtual survivor bucket list.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I was like surprised, but I wasn't necessarily like expecting it either. I was so happy to find that legacy advantage, especially like so early. And then like watching or hearing, like talking to people after the fact and hearing that, they solved it X amount of days later. There was this one call with Lex and Kylie and myself, and I was at work. Obviously, Lex had off of work that whole week. So during the day, I don't remember what day it was. It was when we were in the swap. I know that for sure. Lex and Kylie were on a call like in the middle of the day when I was at work. And then after work, we all hopped on a call and they were telling me about how they solved it. And I'm just sitting here trying to like keep a straight face and act like I had no idea what any of it meant.
Because you told no one besides Lydia, right?
Besides Lydia, yeah. Yeah, nobody else knew. So that was really funny.
So that's the best feeling.
Yeah.
How did you
Lilly knows that feeling well. Yeah.
How did you navigate like the game now, like knowing you have this advantage? You have the option of using it at the Lex vote or at the next vote that you sadly would not be a part of. But
Yeah.
What were you ever considering it during the Lex vote? Were you like, how did you weigh having this in your pocket?
One thing I like about the legacy advantage is it's so much different than a normal idol in the sense that the amount of paranoia that it causes is significantly less. It's not going to burn a hole in your pocket. You're not going to go to tribal every single round and be saying, should I use it? You're not overthinking every little minuscule thing that someone says, or someone talks to you in a different way one round in a conversation, and you're like, ooh, I wonder if it's me. Should I play my idol? Like it lets me like kind of just take a step back and not have to worry about that and just play the game like I normally would. Obviously I'm shooting to try to make it as far in the game as I can and get to those benchmark points so that I can use it. I was so happy when I won that first individual immunity challenge at the merge at 11, because I'm like, okay, great. Now I don't even have one of the few decisions that I actually have with this advantage of when I can play it. I don't even have to take that into consideration. I can just be like, I don't have to use it. I'm already safe. Now I can just save it till 6. I don't even have to think about it. And let that paranoia take over. But as far as I'd be lying if I said I didn't consider playing it at 11 for Lex when I first heard his name was going out there. But like as the round went on and I realized it was going to be unanimous.
Technically, you would have to give Lex your individual immunity and you play the legacy advantage.
Is that okay? And see, I actually had that question too, because at one point during the round, I pulled up the advantage and was reading it, and everywhere on it said you.
Mm-hmm.
So it made it sound like I couldn't play it for someone else. So that makes sense, though, that I would have had to give up individual immunity and then play it for myself. But
yeah,
once it got to the point where it seemed like Lex was going to be a unanimous vote, yeah, I could have played it for Lex, made him safe, but then looking back, obviously Zucker ended up voting for Kylie, and then I would have had to try to communicate with Lex maybe and say, hey, we need to put this person's name down and you'll be safe. So we could at least have 2 votes. But that's so hard to do in a mini format.
Yeah.
And I didn't want Kylie gone either at that point. So if I played it for Lex and made him safe, then Kylie probably would have likely been the one to go. And I didn't want to cause too many waves at that point, right at the beginning of the merge, and make it seem like I'm with Lex to the end, ride or die. I'm never going to put his name down. I'm playing this idol for him. I just didn't want that. I felt like that would have put a target on my back, and I would have been out sooner than I was.
Yeah, I think it was a good call. I mean, you are limited by when you can use it.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree. I think it's a cool one to have. Well, those were all of my questions. I don't know if either of the hosts have any before we go to Facebook.
I've got one last one, and
Yeah.
Austin, you were an alternate for this season. I want to say you were like a week away from the start date. We said something to you of if you want to play, and you had just gotten done with a long game. What was kind of like your headspace of, oh shucks, I'm an alternate, to, oh my gosh, I'm now playing? What was your mindset?
Yeah. I mean, even just backtracking to All-Stars getting announced in the first place, like I knew I wanted to play. There was no question. I was going to apply. I remember messaging you, McKenna, like I think it was before Trinity Falls even started airing. I'm like, so how do you guys handle returning players? Because I think I said,
didn't I respond something like, I think we're planning All-Stars soon or whatever, or something like that?
You said something about, for future mini seasons and stuff, if I wanted to apply, you could put me down as an alternate, and then, explain the fact that your minis and your long games are somewhat separate entities as far as casting goes. So that was it. Before All-Stars was a thing, I was 100% probably going to apply for the next long game because I just wanted to play another DCP. And yeah, you didn't say All-Stars, but you said a returnee season is likely on the horizon, I think.
Oh, yeah. All right.
But yeah, so I knew I wanted to play. And then even just getting put down as an alternate, I wasn't trying to keep my hopes up too much because I didn't want to be disappointed if I didn't make it. But even as an alternate, I was like, okay, I still have a chance to play. There's still that opportunity. And then I was playing my long game, and I'm so glad I was able to get that in before All Stars started. Not even knowing that I was going to make All Stars, but I think that really helped me in this game too with the long game portion. Because I would have come in having no idea how to handle like all of the different conversations over Messenger and stuff. That would have been completely foreign to me. So I was very happy that I was able to squeeze that long game in, and I got voted out right at the merge in that game, but didn't make the jury. So had I made the jury and had that commitment, that game would have ended 3 days before All Stars started.
Oof.
Yeah.
I remember I did your pregame interview.
Yeah.
We were talking about that, but I totally forgot that it would have been 3 days before.
Yeah, that was kind of looking back, was a blessing in disguise that I didn't make jury in that game, because I would have had to keep up with it a lot more closely. And 3 days before,
Oof.
that would have been crazy. I don't know. Some people play like 2 games at once. I'm like, you guys are crazy.
Nuts.
Like one game is enough, and my mind is racing. I can't even imagine trying to play 2 at once.
Yeah. All right, Ian.
Over to the book. All right. Fellow Trinity Falls castaway Luke Goebel has the first question. Austin, so sad to see you go. You were Trinity Falls' last hope. What is the best brewery near you in Wisconsin?
Oh boy. I'm not really a beer drinker, to be honest.
It's just like shots.
I think like the closest thing that I'll drink to beer is like I'm into hard ciders and stuff. So I don't really know too many breweries. There is one like across the parking lot from my work though that I've heard is really good and is pretty well liked. And that's called Anapee Brewery. So sure, we'll say that one.
Right. Brewery across the parking lot from
Austin's place of employment.
Yep. His second question had to deal with the Karen. Did you know that she was trying to protect, or did you realize that Karen was going out of her way to bond with you in order to protect herself, or did you just feel being natural? I feel like you answered that already, but if there's anything else that you wanted to touch on, feel free. If not, I'll move on.
Yeah, no, I think I pretty much touched on everything as far as that goes.
All right. Well, sorry, Luke. Next question is from fellow All-Stars castaway Andrew Denson. Says the challenge beast, God King himself. Must have missed when we gave you that nickname. Played twice. What would you say your highest or proudest moment was across both seasons? I
think probably finding the legacy advantage in this one.
Yeah.
Especially, like I said, finding it so early. I have to give credit to Lydia also, because she helped me with it. She was the first person, because we were trying to like brainstorm it together. I was working on a little bit by myself at first. And then she was the one that brought up the hotline. She's like, oh, I wonder what happens if you call this number. But then she had to go to brunch or something Saturday morning. So then I was like, okay, I'll work on it while you're gone, and we can, meet up later and talk about it. So then I did all of the due diligence and solved it all after that. But yeah, I think that's probably one of my proudest moments between both games, especially looking back to Trinity Falls and seeing how all the advantages literally just like flew right over my head, and that just was nowhere.
I mean, yeah, you were the only one to find a pre-merge advantage, so
yeah. So yeah, just looking back at Trinity Falls and how wasn't anywhere near close to finding any of the idols or advantages in that one, and then to come into All Stars and solve that one as fast as I did was really cool for me.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that if the legacy made it to the work week, like back to Monday, that it wasn't going to get found because you had to do a lot of work, a lot of I don't know. It was a time consuming advantage. And I felt like if it got back to Monday, people were going to be like, they were going to have less time on their hands. You know, the 2 hours after work between when they get home and when the challenge starts or when tribal is, like, you're not going to spend that doing an advantage. You're going to spend that talking to people. So I was genuinely shocked that anybody found it, to be honest, just because
sick and twisted mind of Morgan.
I thought it was going to take some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but even like looking back at it, Lydia and I were on a call, trying to figure it out, and then Alex posted something in all of the tribe chats, like, don't forget, you can call the hotline if you have any questions. And me and Lydia are sitting there like, what the hell, Alex? Like, if people are going to figure it out, let them figure it out.
We had talked about
part of the reason
this.
why I ended up answering incorrectly first, because I was like trying to rush through it and figure out, you know, who was the most common first name of all the past players. So I'm like rushing through it, trying to, you know, thinking that someone else might get to it before I do. And then that's why I end up guessing incorrectly first.
Us as hosts talked about that in our chat. And we were like, well, should we post a reminder? We've gotten no calls. And then we're like, okay, yes, we'll plan this time. We'll send out a message.
Mm-hmm.
But then you guys had already started calling and we're like, well, we already planned to make this message.
Yeah. At that point, you know, but yeah, cool. Next is from fellow Trinity and fellow All-Stars castaway, Lydia. We've talked about her a lot already today. Austin, my friend, I am so eternally grateful for the short time we played this game together. I was cheering you on the whole time, and I could not be more proud of the game you played. If you could have one character from Lost as an ally on Survivor, who would you choose and why?
Oh boy. Okay, Lydia's probably going to hate the answer to this question because I know she was not a big fan of this character, but I'd probably say Jack. Very just like straightforward, overall, like quote unquote good guy, if you will. I don't see him ever like being snaky or trying to turn on you as an ally, and then that would leave the opportunity for me to do so if I felt like I needed to. So yeah, I guess I'd say Jack.
All right, I stopped watching Lost after 3 seasons, so I don't remember who that is, but
okay.
Good answer.
Good answer.
All right, next is from fellow Trinity Falls castaway Ben Horn. No, with a bunch of O's. Last man standing from Trinity Falls. Seeing your progress over the last year in these games has been excellent, and you did us all proud. Your challenge is to construct your DCP dream starting tribe. So while you have a chance here to think for a second, yeah, you and Ben have played another game together and done quite well, not DCP related. So yeah, I mean, I guess Ben, being able to see your first game and then that game together and now this one.
Sad days when you guys don't play together.
Cool. All right, we'll go with 8 people on your tribe.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. How many? So myself and 7 others, or
yeah. I mean, unless you don't want yourself on the dream tribe.
You're on my dream tribe, so I'm obviously going to be on it. I guess I have to include the person who's asking the question. I guess. No, yikes. In all seriousness, absolutely. Ben, for sure. This is gonna be like such a cop-out answer because I feel like the choices are so obvious for me and for everybody else of who I would pick. Give me Sarah. See, I'm taking the total wrong approach to this because I'm not going to want to vote any of them out, and that's part of the problem.
You
Well,
need
we
an
just won't
easy
lose,
vote
so
out.
it'll be
Well, that's why
okay.
it's the dream tribe. You're never
Yeah.
gonna lose.
Yeah, we'll just never lose, and we'll make it to the merge, and then all hats off after that. Okay, so Ben, Sarah, give me Lex, give me Lydia. Jeez, that's 5 already.
Yep. 3 more.
Give me Kylie.
Okay. 2 more.
Hmm. This is so hard.
You think if I went and got a popsicle stick, I could get it in my mouth before you think of the last 2 people?
Sure, if you want to go to a popsicle, you can do that.
I don't have any.
How many do I have left? 2?
You have 2. Yeah.
2. Give me Ashley and give me Karen.
All right. Not a bad tribe.
It is the tribe that never loses.
You heard it here first.
Yep. Next question is from a fellow Dream Tribe member, Ashley Stahl. Austin 2.0. It was great meeting you in this game and great to spend time with you after the game in our Catan game nights. If DCP had an award for most improved, you would be a lock for it. Your journey, both across both your seasons and also within this season, was impressive to watch. I want to ask you the same question you asked me. What was your ideal final 3 going into the merge? How did that evolve as you watched your allies drop like flies?
There's a lot of things that evolved as I watched my allies drop like flies. I think going into the merge, oh boy. At the time, I don't know necessarily where I saw Kylie's threat level and whether I thought I could beat her or not, but I probably would have at the time probably would have saw myself in the final 3 with Kylie. And then as far as I guess I wanted to take out, at least break up that 3, but I probably saw myself with at least one of them also in the final 3. And then as far as how that evolved moving forward, by the time of my boot, I think my ideal setup as far as my best chances are, not saying that I would win, but I think my best chances are probably against Zucker and Austin M. Because just based on how the Ponderosa chat was looking and whatnot at the time when I got there, I think I would have had all 4 of those votes. So,
all right.
And then Ashley's second question is, what is one strategy that you use in Catan that also can be used in a Survivor org? I played Catan one time, didn't do so hot. Lilly,
I haven't played it.
So I think there's a social aspect to playing Catan also that you can relate to Survivor in the sense that in Catan like you can block other people's resources and whatnot, and you're trying to and then there's also the trading aspect too, where you can trade resources with other people, and then also just not playing cutthroat, I guess, because you can certainly do that in Catan. You can, block people's resources. You can put settlements down and put roads down where they're gonna go, which is a valid strategy. But you don't want, because then they could turn around and do the same thing to you. So you don't want there's that social aspect that you have to kind of manage relationships, I guess. I was gonna say something else too, and I don't remember what it was. But yeah, we'll go with that.
Good answer. Good answer. All right, next is from Kiley Kelley. Garsow, my most pleasant surprise this season was meeting and creating a friendship with you. You are a great ally and played your butt off this season. I'm proud to know you. Sorry for the position I put you in at the merge. Heart emoji. Create a hybrid super survivor player with one actual contestant and one DCP all-star.
Y'all are giving me hard questions that I was not prepared for.
Should have read the Facebook before.
No.
Man.
Ian wants those raw answers.
I don't want any thought behind this beforehand.
Wow. DCP all-star and a survivor player. I think a combination of Lydia and Kim Spradlin would be pretty damn dominant, if I do say so myself.
That's not bad.
So let's go with that off the fly.
All right. All righty. Last question. Oh, no, sorry. I didn't see the Underwood question in there. Sorry. Last Castaway question. The true MVP of All Stars writes a passage, my Tugela brother, Austin Garsow. Your journey through this game was incredible and so much fun to watch back in the episodes. Speaking of journey, let's go back to where it started this season. When you got swapped to Fumo and you saw Sarah and I, what was the game plan? How are you planning on navigating the game knowing your OG Tugela Trinity Falls peeps were there? Also, congrats on the legacy advantage. You found that so quick. I'll ask the second question after that. I don't know if I said it. I feel like for some reason I didn't. That question was from Lex. I don't know if I said that.
Okay. No, I kind of figured from the context. Game plan going into the swap with Lex and Sarah. I think we kind of talked about this a little bit already, but really just wanted to go in and try to make relationships with all of the other people first and foremost. Because even just coming into All Stars, I think I mentioned it in my pregame interview too, but I was going to be happy to see whoever was from Trinity Falls, that made the cast, and was probably going to want to work with them in some capacity. It just ended up being that the three other people that made it. Okay, Mike counts too. Sorry, Mike. Everyone keeps forgetting you. But specifically,
he forgets himself. It's fine.
Yeah, specifically, Lex, Sarah, and Lydia are probably at the top of the people that I talked to the most after the season. So for them to be on the cast was difficult because I wanted to work with them, but I also wanted to come in with an open mind and didn't want to just fall into the trap of working with whoever was on my season.
Yeah.
Even just going back to Trinity Falls too, I wanted to be more adaptable because I played a really loyal, straightforward game that time around. So I wanted to be, more open, more adaptable, more fluid this time. Yeah, and then getting voted out of the tribe first and then swapping over. I'm well, I'm happy to see them, but I don't want to have to rely on them. But I got put in a situation where I almost had to because they were my way in and I had to come to them for information. And luckily they were giving it to me and helping me out and telling me, who to talk to and whatnot. Yeah, I think that's kind of just what was my general thought process going in.
Okay. Lex's second question was asking if you were going to use the legacy advantage for him at the merge. We also covered that. So our last Facebook question comes from Carrie Underwood. She said, if you could use only one utensil for the rest of your life, what would it be? This includes cooking and you can't choose a spork.
Spoon, fork, or knife. You can only eat or cook with one utensil.
Austin's face. That's my favorite reaction.
Listen, I just read what they put.
The confusion.
She's right off screen listening. So
Well, thanks for the very thought-provoking question, Carrie. I would probably say spoon. A little more universal, like you're trying to eat stuff and it doesn't fall through the slots in the fork, I guess. I mean, you could try to cut stuff with a spoon too.
all right.
Yeah, spoon.
Okay.
All right. Austin, next org you're playing Cutthroat Kitchen, you only have spoons.
All right. My two questions, as always. First question, replace someone on All Stars from the Trinity Falls original cast with someone else from Trinity Falls.
And we're imagining he's on Austin is on Ignis, yes? Because that was his starting tribe.
Yeah, how the game started, yeah.
Can I do this from a viewer's perspective and take myself out?
I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
I respect that decision anyway.
I would say, yeah, I mean, considering I was an alternate and there was a world in which I wasn't playing, I think from a viewer, and as a friend, I would like to see Ben on the season. So that would be my answer.
Yeah.
Aww.
Always happy to hear people retrospectively, take them. I feel like no one has even thought of taking themselves out of the season yet. So
well, and I think you've mentioned it before too. Like we could have had easily for All Stars have easily had like a much larger cast.
Mm-hmm.
Like we probably could have gotten away with 24 or something like that, and everybody would have been completely worthy of playing in that All-Star season. So
yeah.
And then second question, your Mount Rushmore of DCP players.
I have to put Lydia up there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it speaks for itself. 3 idols in one season. I don't know if anyone's ever going to be able to match or beat that. So Lydia
We
definitely
will be
needs to
prepped
be up
next
there.
mini just in case.
Yeah.
Does Morgan have 2 or 3?
2. Well,
Okay.
plus the legacy.
Okay,
so if
3
Lydia
again.
had found the legacy as well that season.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So they're sort of even. Sort of.
Sort of. Yeah, sort of. 3 advantages.
Yeah.
I'll go with Karen too, OG winner.
Mm-hmm.
And then give me Simmons also for being so good at challenges. Something I obviously respect and hold very highly because I don't know, I just love the challenges.
That's my favorite part too.
That's the thing that I miss the most, like watching the rounds that, and something I look forward to the most, like watching the rounds that I wasn't a part of, like after I get voted out, is seeing all of the challenges that I didn't get to participate in.
Well, listen, now that you're not playing our games, you can help us challenge test.
Oh, hit me up. I will definitely help challenge test. Okay, one more slot. Let's go, Emily.
Right.
All right. That's all I've got. So
All right. Well, we have Alex's question. Hey, it's me, Mr. Positivity. I would love for you to think about one positive thing you took away from your All-Star experience.
I feel like I have to bring it up because everybody brings it up. It's obviously the people, but I'm not gonna completely cop out, and I'll say I think probably like a boost in self-confidence, I guess. Like I came out of Trinity Falls like pretty happy with the game that I played, but knowing that, my time was cut short and felt like I had more game left in me, and that was like my big pitch coming into All Stars. Was that I had unfinished business, and I really just wanted to come in and prove myself, and then to almost be first out, and just looking back at my whole journey throughout the whole season and just the ups and the downs, and I came out of the game, and not winning sucks, but at the same time, like I could not be happier with.
You had a full journey this
Yeah.
season.
No, I got the full experience. Just couldn't be happier with everything. Placement, relationships that I've formed, legacy advantage, challenge wins, all of the things. So I think, I wasn't too confident coming in. Because I felt like I had a lot to prove just based on my Trinity Falls game. And yeah, I'm obviously like, I'm a much more like quieted and introverted person. And then even just the round I went out, I'm so proud of myself in how I played that round, and I didn't give up. I like went out swinging. I did everything that I could to try to make sure that it wasn't going to be me that round. Unfortunately, it was, but like, and then even looking back at the draft too after the fact, and like seeing Lily's little like hype pitch, I was like, somehow I just heard it. Somehow unknowingly got all of the vibes and just came out swinging that round and just did everything that I could throughout the whole game. So yeah.
Coming into your voting booth speech, you're like, who knew I could be good at public speaking? All right. Like, and then like you knew writing was on the wall and you gave who you were voting out, but like it was nice to see some inflection in your voice in and see that passion and that we know you have.
Yeah, well, we like to end every exit with the same question, and that is, if you could sum up your game in one word, what would it be and why?
I think for a lot of the reasons that I just said, I would say growth.
I love it. I'm great. I was so grateful to have you on my draft. You did me proud. You exceeded.
Got you a couple challenge wins.
Oh my gosh.
You voted out someone from your season.
The legacy. Yeah, I mean,
up the points for Lil.
You killed it. And I think growth is a perfect word. It was great to, see you grow in the game, and you take each twist and turn and challenge and have fun with it. And yeah, it was great. I'm lucky to have you on my draft team, so thank you for joining.
Yeah, and then I totally forgot about that I was going, but believe it or not, Austin, you're like one of my favorite people to watch play and that we've had. Several people on Prod probably know that already, but yeah, I don't know what it is, but keep doing it. I guess for my own benefit, but anytime you want to do apply for any DCP long games, even though you've already sort of played half of one, we'll see what we can do.
I will take that answer.
Yeah, if anyone watched your Trinity Falls exit, they know John and I podcasted with you one time and we're like, yes. So you are definitely someone who I was excited to have play Trinity Falls and now to have back for All Stars. So thank you for playing. You were a rock star this game. And that's it. We'll see you during the week and weekend for more content. So follow us on all social media platforms, like, subscribe, the whole 9 yards. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.